Hi everybody. So in this video, I'm going to be walking you through some very basic, simple steps of making a schedule or how to create a schedule for your families. And especially when we're working or learning remotely, that it is an important piece in order for our students to be productive and to be effective with their work each day. So I do want to have some precaution here because there's no one size fit all schedules, as you know. Every family is different, and the dynamics of how many people in the family can change how the schedule looks. How old your children are can change the schedule, the way the schedule looks. So keeping all of those in mind, as you're watching the video, if there are things that you see that's working for you, and then use it. And if you have never, ever started a schedule, then this is a great starting point for you. If you have experience with playing with some schedules and it worked in the past, but now it's not working, or it's working perfectly well right now with what you have for your schedules, I continue to recommend you to continue to watch it just because there may be some things that I say. Just understand that our students and even ourselves, we go through changes all the time. So the needs for schedule will also have to be updated or tweaked in order to fit their growing needs. And so, with the things that I'm saying, there may be things that you can, ideas and suggestions that you can actually use for your own family and just tweak it to make it fit your own family's needs. So, I'm excited to get into this with you. So the first question we have to ask is, why is it important? So the schedule is important is because, as you know, even as adults, we need a schedule to work effectively, and our kids more than ever need structure, they need routines, and they need schedule. It eliminates frustration. They know what to expect, and they know when it is expected, and it will be a lot more productive for them to produce what you want them to do. So the frustration level for both the parents and the kids will be, somewhat leveled. So it is a nice part. It also provides it also lessen the amount of the level of anxiety for some of our children, especially those that really, really need structure. And school has been working well for them because at school they're very structured. There's bells, there's teachers' expectations, and all that. And then now with the home transition into the home, it's going to look different for them, and they can be anxious. They can have anxiety and all of that. So with the schedule at home, it will keep it consistent. So when they go into the school environment, it's going to be a very easy transition for them later on. And that's the last piece that I wanted to touch on is this is a life skill, and they can generalize this everywhere that they go, even when they're growing up, going into work. Time management, organization skill are huge, huge parts of our lives, what we do on a daily basis. So that's to say how important this is. So the next question you may have is, so how do I set up a schedule? Before I get into the 6 different elements of a schedule, I wanted to talk to you about a very important piece, and that's communication. You cannot make a schedule. We cannot have a successful schedule, an effective schedule by the parents imposing it on the kids. It doesn't work that way. It requires a two-way street communication. So one of the most critical part for you to have while you're establishing a schedule, creating a schedule, is to constantly in communication with your children. And we're going to revisit that piece all the time as I'm going to walk you through the different steps of or the different elements of making a schedule. So, what do you need to make a schedule? Well, there are 6 things that you need to consider. 5 or 6 things that you need to consider. First of all, you need to know the activities that you wanted to fit in your schedule. So, for example, if you want your kids to do math, language arts, music lessons, consider what's important to your families. So, right now, with homebound learning, I have to factor in eating time for my kids. I have to factor in cleaning time for my kids and break time and leisure time, physical activity time. So those are important to me. So I embed that embedded it into my schedule. And now your family's needs and what's important to your families may be different than mine. My needs I may say spiritual is a high needs at my place. So I'm going to include that time in my schedule, but you may not. So that all, like I said, it's not a one size fit all. You play with it and you talk to your kids and you talk between the spouses and you talk to each other to see what's important for you, and you would slot those activities into your daily routine or daily schedule. The next piece that you want to consider is time. So when are we doing this and how long are we going to do this for? So for example, for my kids, they are a little older. They're sixth grade and up. And so it's very unreasonable for me to say at 8 o'clock, I want you guys to wake up and be at this table working on this activity for like 2 hours. I can't do that. My kids would probably want to sleep in a little bit. So we have worked it out after talking with them. We've worked it out so that they can wake up at 10 and we're going to start everybody's work right at 10. That eliminates them coming into the table. If I did impose it for 8 o'clock, even though I love it at 8 o'clock, they can't come up to me and say, "Oh, mom, you woke us up so early, and so I'm not focused. I'm so tired. I can't do this." It eliminates all of those naggings and complaining because they actually chose that time, and I worked with them on that time. So we came into an agreement that 10 o'clock is a great time to start, and so they're going to honor it. They feel like they have a part of their voice was in it as well, and they feel responsible. They own it. Okay, so it works for them and for me right now. Another thing is, depending on the age of your children, of course, you can't expect them to stay working for like 2 hours straight. So the younger the students, you may have to break it up throughout the day. So 15 minutes on each lesson would be more manageable. So, like I said, it all goes back to age, family dynamics, how many kids you have, and what works for you. The next important part that I want to element that I wanted to bring up is space. So, where are we going to? Where are we gonna learn? Where's the space in our house that we're gonna use to learn? And that's going to look different for everybody. So if I leave it up to my high school kids to say, where do you want to learn? If I leave it a choice for them, they're going to stay in their room, which I don't recommend at all. Because if you have more than one child, if you have more than one kids, you're going to find that monitoring what they're doing in their room is going to be crazy on your part because you also possibly have to do work yourself. So here's my recommendation. Do it in an area where it's big enough for everybody to join. So at my house, it's a kitchen table because it's higher up, it's bigger. We can all spread our materials, our laptops, our devices on there, and we can work together in that one area. And there's going to be a lot of benefits for working together in that one area. One of the benefits is that as parents, you don't have to monitor each kid and what they're doing independently. You can just be there and know what they're doing. The second benefit is that you can also model what work looks like. A lot of times when we try to teach them, it comes out with so many details, it comes out with so many different steps. But when you're actually modeling it, it's the best type of teaching ever. And so as you're working, and I know that some of your working needs may be different, but if you can maximize the time that you can spend at that same common area with your children to work with them, that will be the best way for you, best place for you to be to model work ethics and also just to monitor them. Another piece that you may want to consider when you're talking about space is that it's got to be not in a space where there's going to be a lot of movements. So if it's high traffic area, I don't recommend it because especially for your younger kids, that will be highly distracting to them. And if you choose a place where there's a lot of toys around or where there's a lot of different things going on, different things put all over the place like clutter, that will also be a factor in the distraction for our kids. So when you choose a space, Make sure that it's big enough, make sure that it's kind of free from distraction, minimize movement so that you can limit it with limited movement so that your kids can be focused for that amount of time, for that amount of time that they're sitting to work. So the next part I want to touch on is rewards and consequences. I know this is a very controversial issue with rewards and consequences because some people and some parents actually don't believe in rewards at all. You believe that your kids should be able to do things the way you want them to do, and that's great. But one thing that I wanted to be real with you about is that even adults, when we go out there to work, we work for a paycheck. That's our rewards. And so it's a very, how do I say it? It's not realistic to say you must do this and I'm not going to give you anything for it. So factor in some rewards and factor in some kind of consequences for them. So a reward could be, and this is where communication again going in come into play. So you can talk to your kids, find out what their preferred activities is, what they want. Some of your kids' rewards may be just a candy. So if it's a younger child, the rewards may have to happen the day of, like at the end of the day, you will have to give that child a reward. But for older children, their rewards can be delayed until the end of the week or maybe until the end of the month. And that's all in understanding and in knowing what your child wants and needs. The rewards can be as simple as a candy. Rewards can be as simple as watching a movie together, or it could be increased playtime, play like on device time, for example. Okay, so when you are asking about rewards and when your student is suggesting rewards, the best thing for you to do is not to overreact about it. Like if they say, oh, I want to play for 8 hours a day, you just gently nod and say, okay, so playtime is good because they need to play. Listen, parents, if you don't allow them to play on their devices, all they're going to be thinking about is how am I going to play on those devices? What am I supposed to be doing with that game? And they're going to be distracted from doing any work at all. So by giving them some playtime, it eliminates that anxiety within them that they can't play. They do get to play. They just have to earn those times. And so it will motivate them. It will make them a little bit more engaging in order to do the work that you want them to do. And so with that said, just make their rewards reasonable. So if they want to play for 8 hours, say, how about just 2? How about just 3? How about let's limit it so that from Mondays, like at my house, I say from Monday to Thursdays, there's no games. You can only play from Fridays to Sundays. That way, it's structured. I don't have to monitor what they're playing, and I don't have to nag them about, it's not playtime. And you know how kids are. When they're playing, they don't know when to stop. So from Friday to Sunday, my rule is that you get to play from 3 to maybe 4 hours, and that's it. But again, it depends on your family dynamics, and it depends on your family's needs. And the last couple of things is just do not just have a verbal agreement on a schedule. I would recommend that you print out. You have this in writing. Print it out. Keep it simple. Just have the activities, the list of activities, the time, and also a list of rewards and consequences. And I will try to post a sample of what that looks like at the end of the video so you can actually use it, manipulate it, or just get an idea from it. But keep it very simple. You can laminate it and you can post it on your fridge and use it as a checklist for your kids if you have that capability. Another creative way that I've seen is that you can also write it on a chalkboard or write it on a whiteboard. And your children can use it as a checklist. Just be clear, be simple, and just a few reminders, a few tips in all of this is that just like how we do anything, at the beginning of everything is going to be challenging. Your kids will push you. Be patient. And you have to be consistent. Don't get into the defensive mode right away when they are not abiding to the contract. I call this a contract because it truly is. Sometimes I actually even have my children sign at the end of it so that it's a binding contract. It's an agreement between us. But just be patient. and be gentle with them. They need a lot of reminders. So that's it, parents. I hope that this video was able to help you with at least to just get a start.